All right, it's so good to be alive today. It's so good to see the last day of the year 2024, a Tuesday, 31st day of the month of December. For you're going to be saying, Happy New Year. Welcome 2025. Many things have been happening. So many things have been going on globally. And for today's edition, it's about taking a look at almost major stories that shaped the year 2024 on international scale. All right, so for that reason, no news around the country, or I say around the world today, just to pick on a story or two or three or four that really shook the world to its foundation. Yes, we'll go through it one at a time to refresh your memories on what the world really went through, and that is why the world is what it is even at this particular moment. So welcome aboard the last edition of our International Forum. Yes, 2024, last Tuesday, last day. You can just say what I want to say. I'd like to say Happy New Year in advance. With me here in the studio to talk about major events that shaped 2024, he is a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Henry Nwanzo. Barrister, welcome to International Forum.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and viewers at home. Once more, celebrate yourself for being alive to see today, because it has not been easy, but God has kept us all marching on.
All right. Via Zoom, if network permits, visually, we'll be expecting Professor Raphael Ehigiato. All right. We're also expecting Don, I call him Don. Yes, when you talk about international relation, Felix Usaine, lecturer, Uniben is on his way already. When he gets to the studio, definitely he's going to talk about his own views and opinions on the issues that shaped 2024. Well, let's put the show on the road. Let's take a look at one major event that the world is still trying to find its feet. You get to hear about increase in gas price. You get to hear about increase in oil price. You get to hear about increase in wheat price. Yes, you know I'm going to write the Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, it's like...
It has not ended. And it will not end so soon.
Wow.
Because the actors in the field are still, pushing, as it were. But thank God, Donald Trump, in a stunning comeback as the American president, I know he will want to push for peace there, and God keeping us all, maybe between the first quarter of his term as the president of America, he will do the needful to ensure there is peace in that part of the world, as well as in Gaza and other places too. So hopefully, I see that there are going to be a meeting point where those who it is their primary responsibility to ensure that there is peace in the world play their role. Where is United Nations? They have all failed, as it were. NATO and others, instead, people are trying to support either one group or the other to ensure that the world continues. But the question I ask myself, and I still want to ask those who it is their primary responsibility, why will we continue to kill ourselves day in, day out, when there is always a way out in settling scores as it is? So hopefully there will be a way out.
But there's some twist in this particular war right now, because Russia, according to report, has been able to capture major cities in the Donbass region. That has been their target. Liberate the cities, according to them, because you have some pro-Russians citizens that are in Ukraine that they want Mother Russia to complete their aid. For the 5th time this year, they've conquered those cities. Now, what do you have to say about that advancement by the Russian troops?
Well, you see, the fact still remains that Russia still has that capacity, as it were, to push Ukraine to almost a melting point. But again, you find that Zelensky and his people have remained resolute with the support they have from other nations, trying to ensure that they remain standing, notwithstanding how far they have been pushed to the wall. But I know of a truth that if Donald Trump comes into office, most of the crises, especially in that part of the world, the Middle East and other parts of the world, will, come to a particular point that they will come for a roundtable meeting where issues will be addressed. accepted that the madman in Russia want to prove a point, as it were.
To many, he's not a madman. He's putting Russian interests. But Putin, to many people, is not a madman.
I look at it from my own personal point of view, because a man will not continue to push, even when others are saying that it is time to call it a truce. But for whatever reason he has, what are you trying to prove in this modern world? What do you want the world to know? What do you want to say that you actually want to prove at the end of the day? So many souls have gone. Many are dying day in, day out. Children and the women are all. You remember the other day, the women were protesting that their men have been in the war front all this while. They have lost so many men due to the crisis, as it were. So to me, I pray that the man who is going to take over America, as it were, will be able to push for there to be a truce between both parties, and to see reasons why things need to be done the way they are supposed to be done. What is the role of United Nations? I don't see any role they are playing. According to Fela in his time, you remember when he sang his song about the United Nations. What is their role? What have they been able to do to ensure that there is peace in the world? And that peace has not been there, coupled with what you see day in, day out in all parts of the world, especially between Russia. When the war started, they thought that in the next 1 month or 2 months or 6 months, the war would be over. But unfortunately, we are going almost to the 3rd year of the war here in the war, and the war is still raging. And Zelensky and his people are still standing strong, believing that...
Are they really standing strong?
For me, they are standing strong.
Because of some opponents are saying that Russia, Ukraine is a theater for the wars, that Ukraine is suffering massively, especially in that Donbass region. They have pummeled Ukraine to an extent that's going to take the next 50 years to recover. Yeah. How would you say Ukraine is standing strong?
No, they're still standing strong, because to Russia, Putin ordinarily felt that within the space of a few days or a few weeks, he would have been able to overrun Ukraine. But unfortunately for him, 3 years is running, and the fight is still aging on. So to me, they have been able to show capacity, they have been able to show the peace, they were able to show the courage, they have been able to show that they too can stand, notwithstanding that, what they are passing through. You know, when you're talking about war, as it were, Russia has been there. Ukraine is just like a part of Russia. And, and when you are talking about Russia, you are talking about Russia in entirety, having that capacity in terms of military might, in terms of weaponry, in terms of everything that you can think about. But so far, so good. Zelensky and his people have been able to show courage. They have been able to stand the test of time, though they have support here and there. But it has not been enough to sustain the war, as it were. But just as I said, the man of the moment is there. He will take charge and ensure that this war, as it were, if he has been there, I know of a truth. It wouldn't have been as it
were. Anyway, that would be our closing remark about Trump becoming the president. It happened this year. But there's this mix in the Russia-Ukraine war, the presence of North Korea soldiers. Someone said it's like, a boost. Talk about 10,000 of them from the report got marching towards Russia to help Russia occupy, conquer territories in Ukraine.
You see, North Korea has always been there because of the man who is at the helm of the affairs. The man of the helm of the affairs has been trying somehow to test his own capacity, challenging most of the superpowers, as it were. To see if there's anybody who will want to challenge him. But you also find out that support, not only Russia that is having support, even Ukraine equally have support from other nations who are supporting in terms of military, weaponry, and others, and all those who are giving support in terms of foot soldiers, as it were. But you know that North Korea has been an ally of Russia, and that relationship has been there for all these while. And the only way to show your friend that you are truly your friend is in times of need for you to play a major role. And that is what I see that the man from North Korea is doing. But for whatever it is worth, war is not the best for anybody. And I say it with every sense of humility, because day in, day out, people are dying. And you'll find, just like I said earlier, what is the role of the United Nations? What have they been able to do to ensure that the world is living in peace? Because day in, day out, people are dying. If you go to what is happening in Gaza, children and women are dying. I saw a clip where a child of how many years old, maybe 3 or 4 years, with one amputate their legs. So you see, it's a sad experience.
Even some lost their life. We'll talk about that, the war in Gaza. But now take a look at the war between Russia and Ukraine. How do you think all this will end?
To me, in 2025, God keeping us, as He will always do, I believe there is going to be a truce. And I strongly believe that if the leaders who are supposed to play their role, as it were, decide to call these parties together and see how issues can be addressed. Because my pain is the man in Russia. That is the problem. Yeah. Because the man in Russia seems to be adamant. The man in Russia seems to be stubborn. To the extent that
there's a reason for it. Don't be a member of NATO. We want to use you as soon as a spy to spy on Russia.
You see,
what's the war?
You see, you cannot determine for a nation that is independent who to felicitate with, who to be part of. You understand? You are saying that Ukraine should not be part of NATO, and that is one of the bone of contention, as it were. But the question there is, why did they want to be part of NATO? What is their reason?
And that will take us back to 1967, where Cuba said they want to give a space for Russia to have a base. US said if you cross the red line, the world will bleed. It's the same that they did.
Yes.
So why is Russia no stand out different? Because Russia had to basically fight for peace to reign. We're not going to have a base in Cuba. And now you say you want to have a base in Ukraine? So it's for out.
You see, I believe at then, 1963 to now, is the world has evolved.
But the world has principle.
No, the world
talking about their national security.
The world has not remained the same. The world has changed. A lot of things have gone, into place. And then, as it were, the type of weapon that was used is not the type you are using today. Those launches they do, some will not go up to 10 kilometers, as it were. But now with drones and other, you'll be able to do things ordinarily we wouldn't have done in 1966, as it were. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that now the world has outgrown that stage. Russia should look at it from the angle. But it's not like
do you think that the US will allow Russia at this point in time have a base in Cuba?
No.
So what are we not saying right now?
You see, why all this?
It's all about national security.
We accept it.
And you're blaming Putin for taking that stand.
Yes.
When we will take that same stand if Russia were to open a base in Cuba.
You see, the question there is, what is this national security you are talking about? The national security you are talking about, are you saying that for the fact that they are going to have a base in Ukraine, automatically they will be spy Russia?
Like what you said, the world has evolved. It's so easy for them to have a post in Ukraine. Russia would not be safe.
Who is fighting war against them? That is the question. You see, because the truth there is that it is, because I begin to ask, who is going to fight war against them? Who is ready to attack Russia, as it were? What are they struggling for? So when you are talking about having a base, and that base you'll be able to launch an attack on the other, that is only on the condition there is issues on ground. But to me, I feel there is no issues on ground. It is this idea of superpowers trying to see if they can do what we call a winner takes it all, as it were. Because you will find out that what actually are they fighting for? Have they been able to create peace in the world, as it were? Are they able to make life more better for their people, as it were? Or we, the Africans, who are running away from here? If you go to the Russia you are talking about and Ukraine, Nigerians are running there every day, even without visa, if they can be given.
They can go and fight. Anyway, if you just joined us, this is International Forum. We're taking on some of the stories that shaped the year 2024. One return is going to be about what is happening in Syria right now. That's another major event that transpired when Assad was chased out of Syria and is now in Russia for asylum. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. You just joined us. This is International Forum. We are taking a look at the event that shaped the year 2024. Back again to Barrister Henry Nwanzo. Barrister, another major event that took place this year was the fall of the Assad dynasty in Syria. Nobody saw that coming. It was like a 1 week before it again, bam, Assad is out. Regime overrun, overthrown. He had to, like, rush to Russia
the only place that can accommodate him
for asylum. Now, what did they say about what really transpired to the extent that the great Assad tucked tail and ran?
You see, there's it's just like darkness and light. No matter how long the darkness is there, light will surely come. And when light comes, darkness will run away. And that was what happened in the case of Assad and the people in Syria. The man has held his people hostage for a very long time, starting from the days of his father till he got to his time. They held office for almost 60 years.
Over 40 years.
Almost 60 years. They held office, one particular lineage. You begin to ask yourself, is this their birthright, as it were? But as time came, when God had decided it is time for the children, just like the people of Israelites, a time came, Moses came, and notwithstanding all the challenges from Pharaoh and his men, God has his way, and that is what happened in the case of Assad.
But right now, if you take a look at this as it stands right now, Russia even accused the Syrian army that they were backing Assad of just giving it all up. No resistance, nothing. They allowed the rebels to overrun them. They allowed the rebels to take over without much fight. What do you think led to that action?
You see, it's not as if the rebels did not, there was no resistance. Initially, there was resistance, as it were. But as time crept in, you find these people, they are humans. They are passing through the same challenges just as the ordinary Syrians are passing through. That their military officers does not sever them from the people. And for the fact that they are part of the society, as it were. They have been under hostage for a very long time. And for the fact that they are military officers, it is because they have been commandeered and kept in that position. Because if you refuse to join the military, automatically you will not wake up alive. You saw them when they were trying to see if there are some persons underground, because he has a
underground prison. One of the worst prisons globally.
You see, so that is the fear a lot of them had. And at the time the rebels were able to, march on and go to that point, they have no other path than to cave in. And at the end of the day, the man has to leave Russia. The handwriting was already there on the wall, even before the visit of the Russian president to the place. The handwriting was clearly on the wall because the pressure was mounting from the rebels, and the world is already tired. Coupled with the war in Gaza between Israel and the Hezbollah and others. So all these pressures have been there, and you cannot completely write it out, because though Israel is claiming that they have no hand in whatever that has transpired there, but I see it from another angle that they are, because you watch after just the fall, they continue to they ensure that all the tanks, the weapons and everything that we have thrown in there were all destroyed to avoid the situation whereby those rebels will not begin to use it to attack Israel. And they even went to the extent of occupying the Golan Heights. So to tell you that directly or indirectly they have a hand in it.
But people like saying that this shows weakness from the side of Russia, because Assad really depended on Russia for supply, for protection, most especially for support. Some of the opinion that is because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, that's why Russia couldn't really extend that 100% support it was given to Assad when his regime was armed in Syria.
It's not like a man who is carrying a coal of fire in his hand, and at the same time he want to help you to scratch your head. Is it not possible? That was what happened in here. It's not possible. That was what happened. A man, his house was on fire, and you are asking him to come and be of help. This man has not been able to solve his own immediate problem, as it were. So he needed support too from you, if he would have been able to get. So at that point in time, the pressure was much on Russia. Thinking about how to assist us. They have assisted Assad all this while in terms of movement, in terms of moral support and personnel. They have done that, but as it were. But you see, the rebels remain focused. The rebels remain resilient. The rebels continue to push, notwithstanding that many of them were being killed as well, but they continue to push. And at a point in time, there is what we call the people too, because they become this, not too happy about what was going on, because there's a lot of policies that they had in that part of the world. It's just like one I read recently. These people were talking about that women and girls will not go to secondary school.
Yeah.
I begin to ask myself, if you say the female children should not go to secondary, they were even saying that where you have parks and other things, they should block viewing where you can easily see them from there. I begin to ask, in this world that life as it is, somebody is thinking on that angle. So it's the same thing that was happening in Syria and all that. So the people were tired of that type of lifestyle that they have been subjected to, because it was forced on them. It was not their will. And when the rebels, you saw the celebration in the streets of Syria and other parts of the people were celebrating, because that was what the people wanted. If the people people never wanted to leave his administration, wanted the administration to come, they would have supported. There would have been moral boost in terms of encouragement on the soldiers as well as on the people.
But still, when Gaddafi was killed, there was celebration.
Yeah.
But look at Libya today. Some are saying Syria is another Libya in the making, because of the absence of the man that has the strength to really subdue so many warring factions, from making Syria to plummet into an undesirable country. As it is right now, it's like each warlord, like what's happening in Libya, is occupying their own territory. That's what is going on. So can one deduce that Syria is like Libya waiting to happen?
You see, but in the case of Libya and Syria, the difference is very clear. In the case of Libya, the Libyans were, the laws were not draconic as it were in Syria. And the life of the people in Libya was not as brutish as it is in Syria. The level of deaths and incarceration of people was not as high as you have in Syria. In Libya, in the days of Muammar Gaddafi, the Libyans were living their life, virtually everything they had them at their beck and call. But you also find out that in every society, there are people who will always be either on this side or they will be on the other side. That was what happened in the case of Libya, that you find people celebrating after the death of Muammar Gaddafi. But in terms of life, generally, the people had better opportunities. In Libya, the women are not restricted from going to school. The women are not restricted from playing, being part of certain things as required. But in Syria, I don't think in Syria you will see women playing football.
So don't think that it would not be worse off in Syria when compared to Libya?
No.
Because we have warring factions now. Warlords saying this territory belongs to them.
Yes.
After all, no Assad to maintain that peace.
Yeah.
No Russia to back them up. The country's been invaded front, left, right, back, center by various parties, all because of their interests.
Yes, that is what you find. When there is crisis like this, interest comes up. It's just like when our president here said there's going to be tax reform. The people in the north started shouting, no, we don't want tax reform. A man is benefiting from alcohol, which he says he does not drink, but he will put in his kettle and take it in and drink. And somebody say, I'm putting VAT. For those who are saying that they should be the ones to benefit, you say no, that, this tax reform will not work, because at the end of the day, I will be marginalized, I will not get better. The same thing you find in this part of the world. You always find it. That is what you find. Presently, you are talking about the issue of Syria, comparing to Libya.
All right. All right. Well, right now, I want to go for another break. When we return, we'll continue with this series of some of the events that shaped the world in 2024. Do stay. Thank you so much for staying. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. We are talking about the events that shaped the year 2024. Join us via Zoom. He is a prof in Uniben. Join me to welcome Professor Raphael Ehigato. Prof, good afternoon.
Wilson, good afternoon, Wilson, and you're at home. Merry Xmas. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, I can hear you right now, Prof. Prof, we have been taking a look at what happened in Russia and Ukraine here on that review, and now we went into some of the events that transpired also in Syria, the fall of the Assad dynasty. What have to say about that?
Yeah, the war in Syria started some time ago, maybe 2010, when there was uprising in the Middle East, and we expect that Assad will fall that time, but he didn't, and he continued to be in power and killing innocent souls. We knew that one day, under the influence of the Russian, we know that one day it will come to an end, and it has come to an end. Remember, at the same time, this war in Syria started with Libya and that was some part of Middle East, then some North African countries. So what they was uprising in that region, and up for now, Assad has continued to be in power, killing his people, maiming them, and do a lot of things to be in power under under the full support of Vladimir Putin. And the end has come. Just that we said one day it will come to an end, and it has ended. I think they will start a new life, a new government, and you can see when the first plane landed in Syria, they celebrated it. So Syria was like a failed state. So now they will continue. They will come back, put themselves together, and move on.
So you'll be able to move on, knowing fully well that we have various warring factions laying hold of some cities, towns, and villages, even in Syria.
Yeah, that is a thing that just like the rebel we have in Nigeria, for example. That is a thing that the government, the popular government, can look at, either negotiate and come in terms with them so that there will be peace in that part of that part of the world. You know, that region includes Israel, Lebanon, and a whole lot. Afghanistan, Iran. There's a problem in that in that region. I think we are now looking for a way whereby there will be peace, so the people there can live a peaceful life. But I'm convinced that there will be negotiation among the rebel group, and because the aim then primarily was to remove Assad, who has been power, with father handed over to him, that is power for some time. So the aim was to remove him, and that is have done. I think there will be peace as we move on.
Look at the Syria situation. It's like Syria is now like Libya. Now, how do you think peace will return to that particular country, and how long do you think that peace will return to that country?
Yeah, yes, if you compare both Syria and Libya, they are not exactly the same because Libya was a country ruled by Gaddafi, and they were enjoying their country until there was this uprising that removed him. And finally, he was killed. You know, when the world, when the Western world is against you, there's just nothing you can do. It's either you compromise or you pay for it. But in the case of Syria, it has been a very brutal government. So, and so many souls. You can see if you go through the internet, you see a lot of secret buried, secret where people were buried, killed. So, jailed, you know. So, I think it will take a long time, but certainly, I'm sure there will be peace in that region. I'm very sure because there's nothing can compare to peace. It can't be war all the time. So I think there will be peace.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Well, join us right now in the studio He is a lecturer at Unibench about international relations. Join me to welcome. I call him Prof on my own, Don Felix. Thank you so much for making our time to join us this afternoon, despite your tight schedule. Appreciate your coming.
Good afternoon, viewers at home and compliments of the season.
Now, we'll take a look at major events that shaped the year 2024. I want to dive into what happened in the U.S., where Donald J. Trump became the president of the United States of America, having lost out on a particular position due to one or two differences. But right now, he became the president-elect. He will be sworn in January next year. So, take a look at the outcome of the election. How did you think it affected the year 2024, and how is going to spill over into the year 2025?
The victory that Donald Trump got in the polls in the United States of America was expected by some of us because of the playoffs that happened in the Joe Biden administration. You know, when the campaigns were hot, Kamala Harris became the candidate of the Democratic Party. It wasn't planned. If it was planned, maybe she would have fared better. Let's assume Joe Biden threw in the towel earlier than the time he had to give up his candidacy during the convention. It may have been better for Kamala Harris. Let's say she started as acting president, but I think they were more patriarchal than we believed Democrats would be, to expect that, oh, suddenly a woman will become the acting president and possibly the president of the United States. And again, we should also look at the fact that there's a racial slant in the argument because she's not pure Caucasian. So all those factors played out. And it emboldened Trump to go on the campaign trail again. Remember, too, Trump had his own challenges. The court rulings, the indictments that eventually found him guilty of some offenses, and he's yet to even be cleared of some. Yet he was able to go on the campaign trail because some of those cases were actually against him, but it was the kind of system that they run in America that favored him too. Having been a former president, he should have, by expectation, maybe would have had to go through the trial process. But the American system said, no, if you have a case to answer, you have to answer for those cases. And Trump has always argued that it's a witch hunt. And Trump also has a way of speaking for himself very well. He appeals to popular emotions, and he gets away with a lot of things. We must say that too. A lot of things that the ordinary man on the street may not get away with. Trump has his way around it. He will appeal to the sentiment of the public. And he speaks to those things that people would not ordinarily want to talk about. So Trump, in talking of Make America Great Again Part 2, because that was the campaign he used for the first time, he came in again after he lost to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden did not fare better than people expected him to have. And Joe Biden also started showing some leanings towards some contentious ideological and social expectations, particularly the LGBTQ movement. Yes, America has an open society. They are very liberal. The Europeans are also very liberal. They support all this kind of movement. But the world has not reached that level of acceptance. And Joe Biden allowing himself and his wife, Jill, allowing them to fly the rainbow flag in front of the White House was a statement that shocked most people who are very conservative. Some of them are arguing that if you have your own preferences in terms of your sexual inclination, there's no problem about that. But you don't have to force others to toe your line. Just as America is always saying that the world should be free for democracy, the world should be free for human rights, they are now saying, America, you are corralling people into accepting your own mainstream ideology. That is why Ghana rebelled against the American push. And America is tied into foreign aid system. And this is not helping America in the part of the world that we are from, particularly in Africa, then in parts of Asia. They voted against the LGBTQ movement. Now, interestingly too, Trump hinged his campaign on family values, that the family is a unit of a male, a female, and their offspring. Now, if you talk of the LGBTQ movement, you are talking of a movement that is talking of preferences that are very, very, if I use the term, selfish. a male and a male, a male and a female, a female
and a female,
and a female, and a female and a female that want to adopt a child produced by a male and a female. So these are the challenges that the American society. You see, when I did a review of the election thereafter, and I even found that most of the females did not even vote for Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Because they were actually not happy with the kind of push that Democrat was rooting for. And this is an argument that will go far into 2025, because Trump is saying openly that he doesn't have respect for transgenders, he doesn't have respect for those who belong to the LGBT, that they are not just closet people, they are becoming mainstream people, and that is a problem for society. And that if you put all male together in a community, how will they reproduce?
Good question.
Good question.
So, good question.
Trump is holding on to that firmly. Then Trump is also looking at the performance, part of his campaign argument then, was the performance of the American government in foreign affairs. Was America able to stand up properly to Russia in terms of actions in Ukraine? Okay. Did America put his foot down on the issue of Israel and Hamas and later Hezbollah? How did America deal with the Houthi rebels in Yemen? How did America put up a bold front against China in the South China Sea and the issue of Taiwan? These are the issues that Biden did not hold on very well.
Well, all right.
And in not holding it very well, Trump used the lapses in the Democratic government to campaign against them. In fact, he actually used their weakness to launch himself into public recognition again, and it has given him the victory that he deserved in the polls.
All right. Now you just saw one of the clips that Trump also he made several promises, among which is going to revoke the birthright of citizens given birth to in America, and of course the other one is all about, you know, saying that as it stands right now, he mentioned the LGBT stand of Donald Trump, and of course, talking about pardoning the capital city rioters. Come on, do you think that would just spark another form of unrest in America? Because this person, some of them, they've been convicted already, and he said he's going to pardon them.
You see, because he was at the center of the drama. That is the truth. Because if he was not at the center of the drama, he would not be talking about pardoning them. Joe Biden pardoned the son and others recently. So if
Joe Biden said he wasn't treated fairly, that's why he pardoned him.
Well, it's the same thing. If Joe Biden, on his own part, claimed that his son and others were not treated fairly and he pardoned them, and Donald Trump, who was at the center of the issue that transpired at the Capitol, he's not saying that those who were tried and convicted, as it were, that he's going to pardon them. He equally has the right. He is the president of the country, and he has such powers to do that, as it were. And then coupled with the fact that he was the man at the center of the whole episode. So on the issue of the transgender and others, or morally, in every civilized world, as it were, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, I cannot imagine a situation where a man will be sleeping with a man. It does not make sense. Or a woman living with a man. Or on the other hand, you will find two
females with a woman.
So all these things are things that you find even in animal kingdom. I don't think it happens in an animal kingdom, let alone in a kingdom where you have humans, trying to live. So if the man has come to say, oh, such things will not happen in my administration, I support the idea. For those who are rooting for it, because you'll find out, that is why in those societies, some of us who live in this part of the world, it is in our place, we will say it is forbidden. It is a taboo. Such thing does not happen. Yes, you understand what I'm talking about? But in this part of the world, and this is what some of us who travel out of this country, where we go there and copy, and we'll try to download them here. That is why you find some of our men, they are acting as gay here. You find our women, they say they are lesbian and all these things in our society, as it were. Such persons need to be stoned to death, as it were. Because or in such society where you find such persons who try to please those rules, the society has punishment for such things. But it does not even exist. It's of recent we begin to hear all this because the world, people say the world has now become a global village. Well accepted, the world has become a global, but it has never degenerated to that point where humans will now be living, not even animals are not living as that. You now ask yourself, where are they coming from?
Now let's move on to Professor Raphael Ehigiato. And remember that we're taking a look at the US election and how Trump became president. Now he talked about revoking the birthright of our citizens, so to speak. Maybe you are in Nigeria and you go to the U.S., you put to bed, automatically that becomes a U.S. citizen. Trump is going to put an end to it. And of course, pardoning the people that rioted when he lost the election. Yes, that was some years ago. Prof, what do you have to say about that?
Much as I do not support man-to-man marriage or a female-to-female marriage, which is the agenda of the Democratic Party. Remember, Obama started it when Robert Mugabe, the president of one African country, that said that he should come, I will marry him, that he will marry him. So I don't know if it's the agenda of that Democrat. I don't know. It's not a good one. It's forbidden, and a man and a woman should marry, and not the other way, and not man and man or woman to woman. I don't support that. Yes, in as much as I don't support that, I hope that America will not regret bringing Trump a second time. That's just my hope. Because we saw the activities of Trump when he came the first time. In fact, African country could not get, especially Nigeria, for example, could not get visa to go to America, even for a short visit, whatever. And this is a man that called Africa shithole. So I hope and pray that they will not regret a second come, because this time around, he has no fear. He's not going to go to the contest again. He can't do anything. Look at the policies he's bringing. America have been accommodating people who giving what do you call it, passport to people who were given birth in America for a very long time, and it has been a way out for some family members. But now you are going to stop it. So you're going to stop a lot of things. We don't know what is in mind, and I hope and wish that Americans will not regret bringing him back. Because I remember a time when he won. I was in US one time. I was talking to some of the white men. One of the white men told me that they regret voting for Trump. Now he has come back again now, come back a second time. So I do not know what the agenda will be, especially his program towards Africa and Nigeria in particular. I don't know how we are avoiding him. I don't seem he like anything in America. That time, many visas. That time, visa was if you have an American visa once, the next thing you go is a drop bus. He canceled the drop bus. Then they will invite you to come to the embassy. They will tell you that you can't go this time. You are denied. So he did a lot of things that time, and he's here on the issue of pardoning those people that wanted to take power by force. Yes, he was the brain behind it. You don't expect that he will not pardon them. Certainly, he will go to do that. That is not that's good. After he will do that in a few days. He will come in. The other thing that we're going to look at is this war, Russian-Ukraine war. I do not know his mind towards that supporting Ukraine to end the fight. I do not know. But for Israel and Hamas, I can assure you, Trump will give more ammunition to Israel to destroy the terrorists in the Middle East.
All right. All right, bro. Thank you. Thank you so much for your press for time. Well, Don, you're going to have the last line in this discussion because we're pressed for time. Do you think the world would be a better place with Trump in that Oval Office? Like what Prof said, he said, well, hope the world and America will not regret his second coming. So I'll be like, fear my return, fear my second coming.
It's the Africans that are afraid.
All right.
I do believe that Trump has an agenda. He will not be elected president again for a while, because if you've taken 2 terms, even if not consecutive, you'll have to wait for another tenure before you can reapply. I don't know the present consideration. However, he has openly said that he wants to exercise the prerogative of mercy for those that stormed the Capitol. And within his power as President of the United States, he can't do that. But we also should know that the exercise of the prerogative of mercy is always political. It's to gain political points. So he has an agenda to get the popular support of the majority of the American public. He will get it. Trump has a way of working on people's base instinct. He will get it, and he will pull the people along. Trump also has disruptive capacity. He is saying that he's going to limit or even try to eradicate the principle of citizenship by birth. He has started creating some disruption. But I want us to understand that the American Constitution makes for the acquisition of American citizenship by birth. And it also makes for citizenship by naturalization. There's also citizenship by conferment. So Trump is working on one. He may even make an executive order against that. The Supreme Court of America can rule him out. People should not be unnecessarily apprehensive. He has stated an intention. Let us see him carrying it out. That is why I speak differently most times, that apprehension is good. It even helps to moderate our opinions. And there are processes in the American system. The president can always issue an executive order. The Supreme Court is there. The American Congress is also there. They have the Senate and the representatives. They will also work on some of these rules. So Trump is not going to carry the day alone. If they find that it is going to be against the best interest of the public and the government, they will take the necessary steps to rein him in. And Trump is not, as I will always say, a president that has unlimited powers. Even though America maintains an imperial presidency, he will have a lot of checks on his powers, and those checks will curtail some of his excesses. He will dare it, but he may not get away with it. Then most importantly, how will it affect the world? Trump is good at pushing people to the abyss. He will push you to the brink. He uses brinkmanship. He will test your strength. He will test your resilience. And I think Africans should wake up to that fact. This complaint that Trump is planning to stop citizenship, what is our business in America? We should begin to develop our own continent and our country. When we do our own work well, Trump will even be the one inviting us to come to America.
All right.
We will be able to sit up and stand up to him and do something.
Thank you.
We should stop griping that Trump is going to do this. We should do our own well.
All right.
Americans have this edge because America is developed. I don't see Russians rush to America. Japanese people do not clamor to go there. They only go there for tourism.
For tourism. Thank you. Well, this is the much time will allow us to talk today. Take a look at some major event that shaped the year 2024. And I believe that you've learned one or two. It's kind of a refresher of your memory. Prof. Raphael Gelto, thank you so much for being a part of this show. Well, Don Felix, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Though you came late, though, but thank you. All the same. Barrister Aaron Walls, thank you so much for coming to today's show.
Thank you very much. And Nigerians, I celebrate you for being alive to 2025.
Yeah. Happy New Year in advance. See you next year on this same platform. Bye for now.